Hi all, I welcome you to this webinar where we talk about more regarding Copilot Studio and M365 Copilot. I hope I'm audible and everything's good. Let me just start. As you are aware about M365 Copilot, M365 Copilot is a AI assistant that you can find in Microsoft suites of products. You can find it in Teams, you can find it in Word, Excel, right? And it's a natural language based AI assistant. It comes with the foundational model. If I'm correct, GPT-5 is something that you can try on in M365 Copilot now. And it comes with the foundation models that are managed by Microsoft. It comes with your Microsoft Graph grounding out of the box, and it helps you to query over your enterprise data. And in general, we are all aware about M365 Copilot. We all use it into our day-to-day lives to increase productivity. But from a technical perspective, there can be much more that can be achieved with M365 Copilot and Copilot Studio. Right? Going ahead, these are some things that you might utilize M365 Copilot for summarizing conversations in Teams, for drafting email messages, for creating meeting agendas, and so on and so forth. Moving ahead, Microsoft Copilot depends upon a very huge architecture, and I would just go over it within a few seconds from a visual perspective. Right, you as a user come into M365 Copilot, the UI, and you start interacting with it. Now the UI is something that you can see in M365 apps. A UI is something that you can see in Teams, Word, or even in your Office on the web, right? So you come in through that UI, you enter a prompt into the M365 Copilot, and the Copilot goes to the graph grounding. Now, the Copilot is integrated with something called as Microsoft Graph and something called as semantic search over Microsoft Graph, right? So, it's a graph-based I would say graph RAG based solutioning that Microsoft has created on its end, and it helps you to refer to files and documents much more quicker because it's all vectorized indexing that the Microsoft graph based RAG does. If irrespective if you use M365 Copilot or not, even if you are not licensed with M365 Copilot, the way you search for documentations on your M365 portal or your M365 web application is the same because it utilizes Microsoft Graph in the backend to get you the right documents. Now, your prompt is being understood, grounded by the graph, and then it is modified and it is generated it is sent back to the foundational model that is hosted on Azure OpenAI, and Azure OpenAI, something that is managed by Microsoft. The version of that Azure OpenAI is managed by Microsoft altogether. And then the prompt is engineered again there, and there is a LLM response that comes back. The LLM response comes back again to the graph. It then again goes through a post-processing process to filter out how the output should be generated back, and then it goes back to the UI and it is then responded back to the user, right? So this is the whole architecture of M365 M365 Copilot, how it functions in for your day-to-day use cases. If you see the data flow here, there is user prompts, there is Copilot access to graph, there's Copilot receive. So you can see there are 6 steps that happen every time you send a prompt to M365 Copilot. And this is how it looks from the backend side. So going ahead, the concept about extensibility, the concept about M365 Copilot and agentic copilots or agents is something that has come in the recent has come in the recent years, right? And we all know that you can, as an organization, add these agentic solutions inside your M365 Copilot by creating something called as agents through Copilot Studio Builder that is found in M365 Copilot, and agents that you can also create the solutions that are outside this UI, that is Copilot Studio. But there also remains a third way where you can create solutions using Teams Toolkit, now called M365 Agent SDK. And we will not touch on that today, but we will take the Copilot Studio route, because the Copilot Studio route is something that is quickly to get hands-on, quickly to understand, and it is the best route for citizen developers who are already working on M365 on Power Platform and Power Platform suites of products, right? But yes, I will go through each and every path that there is for making these extensibility solutions or agentic solutions inside M365 Copilot, right? So giving you a broader aspect of what advantage you can see with these agent enablements inside M365 Copilot, right? If you see on the visualization here, you have your Biz apps, you have your M365 apps. Those are something called as a skill that gets added into Copilot for M365. And then there is your knowledge section on the timeline, which it says M365 data, business knowledge, and web knowledge. Right? M365 data is nothing but your enterprise data. Business knowledge is something that you add in context to in Copilot, M365 Copilot, and web knowledge is something that you want it to go to the web and then bring it back to search over the results. What the agent does is it increases the capability of these areas inside M365 Copilot, because the vanilla version of M365 Copilot is a lot basic. It only helps you to do a few certain certain steps or tasks only. But with agentic extensibility or with agentic implementations, it allows you to connect to multiple databases, and it helps you to modernize that M365 Copilot experience to another level, right? Now again, going ahead, there are different paths to how you do this modernization, how you do this addition of agents into M365 Copilot. People who have joined here might already be aware about it. And mostly 90% of the people will have already explored these solutions. But the pro code one is something that is not much introduced into our region as such. So I would like you all to go and explore that also. I'll be leaving a link in the description, or where you can read more upon it. And we as Noventiq also help customers, or our customers, to enable uh, their teams with the Teams toolkit and with the M365 Agent SDK trainings. So if you see on this graphic on the screen, there are multiple sections of how you can add these agentic implementations into M365 Copilot. You have your no code, that is your SharePoint agents. So SharePoint agents is something that is very new, which has come recently, where you can create agentic solutions. You have a SharePoint agent, a Copilot in SharePoint, and then you can add agents into that Copilot, this SharePoint, and hence it becomes SharePoint agents. There are two ways of doing it. You do it either with Agent Builder inside SharePoint, which has its own set of things that you can turn on, turn off, or you might want to do a custom solution based on SharePoint agents, which you can do it through MCS, that is Microsoft Copilot Studio. So that is the low code way. The low code way is Agent Builder that you find in M365 Copilot and Copilot Studio, MCS. And then there is a pro code way, that is your Agent SDK. Now, this is the experience that you see when you log into M365 Cloud. This is the Biz chat that you see. There is the panel that you can open and close here for people who are already using Copilot. Copilot, this is something new. But you see there is an agent section on the left side, right? This is where when I click on an agent, I come into something called as an immersive experience. So this immersive experience is something that allows me to query or to talk to the agent specifically in the M365 Copilot's UI, right? And let's say if I want to invoke the agent from elsewhere, right? Or let's say I want to invoke the agent inside Copilot, M365 Copilot, I can always tag the agent, and that then becomes an in-context experience, right? So let's say you're working on M365 Copilot regarding your work, and then let's say you want to query a specific agent about a specific task, right? That is where you can invoke the agent by typing in an um, key, and that @key will start listing all your agents out there. And then you can select the one that you want and then start querying it. And hence it becomes an in-context experience. Now, when we talk about these agents, there are two pathways of building these agents. One is the declarative agent, one is the custom engine agent. Where you can deploy this, you can deploy declarative agents across M365 Copilot, across SharePoint, and across Microsoft Teams. These are the channels that are available for you to deploy these declarative agents. They are instruction, action, and knowledge sources based agents. So you can add in specific instructions that you want, right? You can add in what actions the declarative agent can perform. These actions range from getting data from a database or getting data from an API call. And then you can add in knowledge sources. Let's say you want to connect it with SharePoint, OneDrive, you want to connect it with an external website and everything. So this is all possible through pro code and low code. Pro code, this happens through M365 SDK. You can make it happen inside there. And let's come to the low code. You can make it happen inside Copilot Studio MCS. A custom engine agent is something where you have control over the orchestration of the agent itself, right? And we'll talk about more. We'll talk more about what orchestration, what orchestrator. But from a high level perspective, where you can deploy these custom agents is in M365 Copilot again. Teams, you can deploy these agents into your custom websites, SMS services like WhatsApp or Twilio, right? You can even deploy this into email or like Outlook. And there are multiple more bot channels that you can add it to, like Slack and and example channels. Now, if you see, come on the bottom part of the visualization, you will see that if you want to go with Pro Code, you can build both of them in Pro Code. You can do it through M365 Agent SDK. And let's say you want to do it in no code, you can build in through M365 Copilot also. But if you see in the very middle, Copilot Studio is something that covers both of the aspects. You can create declarative agents, you can create custom engine agents, right? Both inside Copilot Studio MCS. Let me go a little bit ahead on the agent architecture. So this is a standard agent architecture that you might see. It varies upon, so it builds upon the declarative agents and the custom engine agent build upon this fundamental architecture. You have your user experience, which is optional. You have your orchestrator. You have your foundational models. You have your knowledge base, your tools. These tools are for tool calling, function calling that we do inside a large language model. And then there is an autonomy part, which is more related towards autonomous agents. Orchestrator is the heart of an agent. I would consider that the heart of an agent because it helps the agent to understand what topic, what knowledge source, and what tools to call, right? And the fundamental foundation model is something that can always be swappable. So you see the architecture here, it's all swappable. The orchestrator can be swapped, the knowledge base can be swapped, the user experience can be swapped. So it's a dynamic architecture that is built by the Microsoft team for creating agentic solutions inside your organizations through M365 Copilot. So let me go over the declarative agents architecture. You see the user experience here is M365 Copilot, SharePoint, and Microsoft Teams. Now this user experience is fixed. The orchestrator is something called as a Copilot orchestrator. The Copilot orchestrator is something that is built um, on a agentic or on an agentic AI framework orchestration framework called as semantic kernel. Right? Semantic kernel is something that orchestrates everything that you see in your M365 Copilot, and we built upon that on the agentic part as well. We utilize that Copilot orchestrator that is made through semantic kernel, and we add in more additional things that we want. So now here the orchestrator is fixed. When we talk about declarative agents, it's Copilot orchestrator. The knowledge source is swappable. The tools are swappable. Autonomy depends here because autonomy is not built into the semantic kernel. Hence, the orchestrator does not understand the autonomy aspect of it. Now, the funny part about this is declarative agents are not meant to be autonomous agents, but M365 Copilot, MCS, that is Copilot Studio, has a whole section called as agentic flow, which is still in preview. It helps you build these autonomous agents, call your custom engine agents, and then do tasks, right? So autonomy is not a part of declarative agents. Declarative agents are only there for uh, instruction-based, action-based, knowledge-based grounding and giving Q&A-based queries response back to M365 Copilot. Right? You can make actions happen with invocation of natural language, but then that is not part of autonomy. Autonomy is something where everything just is taken care by the agent itself. Right? The foundation model here is also fixed. It gets updated when and how Microsoft feels it should be updated. Right now, you see GPT-4o is the foundational model for M365 Copilot, and for all agentic declarative agentic builds, M365 it builds upon M365, hence the foundational model remains GPT-4. But in the future, GPT-5 is going to get integrated into this. And if you see the tool section is something where we get the access, we get the freedom to invoke different APIs through function call for the large language model underneath. So let me go over the custom engine agent kind of an architecture. You see here the user experience is again fixed, and there are 10 plus more bot service channels. So these are so it's built upon something called as Azure or Microsoft Bot Framework that got ported into two aspects. One is M365 Agent SDK, another one is Teams AI Library. Depending upon your use case and your business challenge and where you want this custom engine agents to go in, um, that is the whole process of identifying which library to choose to write the code for, right? M365 Agent SDK is something that helps you to facilitate different kind of agentic AI frameworks inside your orchestrator, and else Teams AI library also does that. But the bounding boxes here are how well and how good the knowledge sources, the tools, and the autonomy part, right? So I would say when we talk about custom engine agents, is something that you can build in MCS. This is something that you can build through the M365 Agent SDK, and the orchestrator is something that you can put of your liking. When I say orchestrator, it can be semantic kernel based orchestrator, it can be a LangChain or a land graph based orchestrator. The knowledge source again is swappable, the tools is swappable, and the autonomy part for planning and exception and everything. This is where the orchestrator plays a huge part, right? The whole SDK is built in for LangChain, for semantic kernel, but there are more other orchestrators, as in when they do come, Microsoft will add support for them all, right? Going ahead, the third aspect is the Teams AI library, custom engines for Teams component. This is something where the channel is only M365 Copilot and Teams. So let's say your business challenge is to only build solutions for your organization, not extend it out on your custom website or anything. That is when you utilize Teams AI library. The difference between Teams AI library and M365 SDK is that the bot service channels are uh, different. For the M365 Agent SDK one, you can add multiple bot um, channels, whereas for the Teams AI library, you can only add M365 Copilot and Microsoft Teams as the user experience of the channel up there. Rest all is swappable, orchestrator is swappable, and even the knowledge, tools, and autonomy parts are swappable depending upon the orchestrator. And even the foundational models for both of them, even Teams AI library and M365 Agent SDK, the foundational model is OpenAI based models. You can even go for Azure OpenAI based models. Minstrel models that are there, and now depending upon your use case and business challenge, you can swap those models here. So all in all, this is a summarization of what path one should take when they are trying to address a business challenge. So if let's say you are a maker, you should go for a no code kind of an aspect. And if you're a coder, you should go for a pro code kind of an aspect. Makers have access to Copilot Studio Agent Builder. They have access to MCS, that is Microsoft Copilot Studio, and they have access to SharePoint agents. Whereas coders, they have access to declarative agents, custom engine agents, and agents for teams. And it's all possible via Visual Studio Code and M365 Agent SDK. Going ahead, this is a much more visual perspective about, or a flow diagram about how everything comes into picture. There are different labs that we provide for teams to get enabled. Let's say if someone requires an M365 Copilot lab session, we do that. And let's say if people require something from a code first approach, we also have labs for those aspects as well. So if you require, you can take a screenshot of this page, and I'll just wait for a minute, for a few seconds, and I'll move ahead with the Copilot Studio part of it. All right. So we have a solution, Copilot Studio by Microsoft. This solution is mostly SaaS based. This is a website that you can log into, register for free trials. And let's say if you do already have this in your organization, you can build agentic AI solutions through Copilot Studio. Copilot Studio helps you build both declarative agents as well as custom engine agents uh, through its interface. And there is a new addition which is still in preview, as I said, about agentic flows, which helps you to build autonomy into your already existing custom engine agents. Going ahead, Copilot Studio follows a success by design platform criteria by Microsoft, right? So Microsoft's framework for success by design is something that Copilot Studio follows up. Why is it efficient? Why is it great for citizen developers? Because it is something that facilitates faster deployment, something that facilitates higher adoption and maximized ROI, right? So you can create solutions inside for your organizations in a much more faster way, where it gets adopted on a much more higher level. And the ROI that you invest into this product, because it's again a licensing based, consumption based kind of a model, the ROI that you get out of it is also good, because the way you are enabling your organizations with agentic AI using something that is low code. Going ahead, this is a life cycle. This is a normal software development life cycle for anything. And this is something that is implemented inside Copilot Studio also. I mean, I would say it's a very high level view of what that life cycle would look like. So you have an initiate phase where you kick off a project, and let's say you have regular touch points and saying that, okay, this is something that we want to build upon. You identify the business challenge, you understand, okay, Copilot Studio is the one that, goes here, fits in right, identifying, okay, now we have to build a declarative agent or a custom engine agent. And that is what you do in the initiate phase, right? You go into the implement phase, you design the solution, you build the solution up. There's all your architecturing, your connections and everything. That is what happens in the implementation phase. And then you move on to something called as prepare, where you deploy the solution up. You do regular tests for the solution. You deploy it to a user testing group. and everything is checked, and then you proceed for the operational stage, that is the go live stage, right? Now, Copilot Studio also follows ALM, that is application lifecycle management. Deployments can be so releases, update releases are quicker when you follow the application lifecycle management. The way the updates are patched into to the already existing agents are also quicker because it's just one click deploy. You need to publish the agent and everything is live within seconds or within few minutes, right? We already know why we don't call chatbots chatbots anymore. Either we call them copilots or we call them agents. And Copilot Studio again, Copilot Studio was renamed from Power Virtual Agents. So it does belong into the Power Platform suite of products, right? So you'll find a tight integration of Power Platform into Copilot Studio, right? Even for the autonomous part, even for the connection part, you get to utilize all your Power Automate connectors, all your Power Automate flows inside Copilot Studio, and that is another advantage why Copilot Studio is designed for citizen developers and designed for people who are already well versed with Power Platform in general. Going ahead, this is a quick overview of Copilot Studio. These are all the things that you get to see inside Copilot Studio. I'll just pause for a few seconds here and then I'll go ahead with the architecture. Yeah, this is an older architecture for Copilot Studio. The newer architecture covers a lot more stuff, but everything that you see inside here is something that already exists inside Copilot Studio. It's just it's being being visualized here on a much more simpler manner. The other architecture is much more complicated, but you see here there are different channels that you can export M365. You can export agentic solutions from MCS, right? And these are the bot channels because Copilot Studio also again utilizes Microsoft's bot framework. If you see, there is Azure bot service that is called in with bot framework skills that can be integrated into Copilot Studio. There is a Microsoft Entra connection that can be established for all your identity management scenarios. There is also uh, solutions that you build. So let's say conversational language understanding models that you build on Azure through ML Studio or something on the ML service that is on Azure. You can bring in those models. Also, you can bring in your already deployed Azure AI Foundry models into Copilot Studio also. Dynamic chaining has now become something of a different word for it. It is Copilot Studio based invocation or Copilot invocation. But again, dynamic chaining or Copilot invocation is nothing but where the orchestrator, that is the Copilot semantic kernel based orchestrator that understands the user's intent and directs the user to the right topic and invokes the right topic, right? Azure OpenAI is where the foundational models are coming through, and Azure AI Search is something that helps with vector-based indexing of uploaded documents into MCS or RAG-based patterns also, right? You can also connect it with Dynamics 365. There's a huge support for contact centers. There's even support for incident management softwares, incident management um, tools like ServiceNow and Jira. And then there are the DLP policies that are configured from your the pre-configured DLC policies that already exist on your M365 tenant. Those are being inferred into M365 into MCS Microsoft Copilot Studio as well. There is a strong connectivity with Microsoft Dataverse being the idle database for MCS based solutions. So Dataverse helps in storing the transcripts that are generated in MCS. These are the conversational history for the user and everything. So all of these can be logged into Dataverse, and these are logged by default into Dataverse. The Dataverse becomes an idle data storage platform for all things with MCS. Going ahead, MCS can help you to integrate different parts and help you to tune into copilots that are launched by Microsoft itself as well, right? So you already know Copilot for M365, M365 Copilot, and there are other copilots like Sales Copilot, Service Copilot. These are all something that you can tune in and add custom solutions through MCS for, and other copilots that Microsoft